Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the morning grind. It is so good to be here this morning, and I'm so glad to have you. I apologize, one, for having to cancel the wind down last night, kind of last minute. I don't like to do that, but I by the time I got sitting here, I was completely exhausted, and I would not have been good company. And I hate that because the wind down is important because that's what's helping keep me accountable. And I know there are other people who want that as well. And plus, there may be some topics. I mean, there are topics that I want to discuss as well, but it just was not working yesterday. I think it was the Vexanadu live stream that messed me up. That was so much fun. I had so much fun playing Vexanadu, but I think doing that and going late got wired up. And then I didn't go to sleep that night until really, really late. So I think that's actually still carrying on and messing up the schedule, but that was fun. So I apologize for that. Let's see who's here. We've got Mike. Mike is here. Mike Hansford is here. Good morning. Oh, I need to take well, there we go. Hey, Mike, good to see you. Wonderful. Glad to have you here. Matt is here. Good to see you, Matt. And Trey is here. Good morning, Trey. We're going to be looking at Pendragon today, and it's a game that I've wanted to look at that I've had for a little while, but I don't think I mean, I'm sure I've opened it up, but I have not ever really looked at it. This is a Pendragon, it's the King Arthur RPG, and I've got the 5th edition here, but I think there's even a newer, slightly updated copy or something like that. Trey was recommending this one to look at because of the obvious nightly aspect of Tales of Rabavania. And I was working on that this morning. So I actually got up this morning, was working really early. So I did heed the call to adventure this morning. That was like at 2 o'clock. And then I worked for about 3 hours and then I went back to bed. So I got up and was working actually on outlining some of the Tales of Rabavania world primer we were talking about. Was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday on the World Building Wednesday. And so I thought this would be a good time to go ahead and review the Pendragon RPG. So that's what I have up for us today. So I do want to drop into the chat the Discord link because I was also working yesterday on the rules of conduct. I really wanted those to be really good and to be something to kind of, you know, what's supposed to be the way that an online community could be run. So I actually put a lot of thought into those. I'm going to post those in the Discord channel today. Make another editing pass over them, but then post them into the Discord channel, and then we can talk about those. Ravenkeep Discord channel to see what people think about them. But I think they're really good community guidelines. So if you are here and you have found us and you like to join the Ravenkeep Discord channel, I would love to have you there. What else do I need to say? I don't really think a whole lot. There's so much going on. I'm trying to figure out how to get it all done, how to organize it. But Thursday night is supposed to be our night off of the evening live stream anyway. It may be that I need to only do like 4 nights a week on an evening live stream or something like that and make all of those count. I'm not sure. We're adapting as we go. Like, what is a sustainable thing and what gets a lot of work done, a lot of great stuff done over the long haul. So I'm still thinking about that. But there's so much stuff to do. But since there's not supposed to be a stream tonight, I'm planning on sitting here for like the next, well, I guess it's about 11 hours or something like that, and trying to see how much work I can possibly get done here at the computer, and it's going to be great. All right, so let's go over to the very brief morning messages today. The Morning Grind is brought to you by World Anvil. For all the game masters out there, World Anvil supports more than 45 systems, including D&D, or you can create your own. It allows game masters to plan, play, and present their adventures and campaigns. Use the code MORNINGGRIND to get 40% off yearly subscriptions. And thank you for being here with me live on The Morning Grind. And if you're watching on replay, welcome to you as well. It's great to have you here. If you're enjoying The Morning Grind, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It will really help the channel grow, and I would be very thankful. We also have the Ravenkeep Discord server you can join if you would like to be a part of the community. All right, that's what you need to know. Let's get to the main topic. All right, so let's go over here to Pendragon, which I think has a really cool cover. That's probably one of the reasons that I had this PDF anyway. It's probably one of the things that first drew me to this game was this cover. I wouldn't discount that at all. In fact, it was the same way with Harnmaster. We didn't look at Harnmaster on the Morning Grind, but there is another video that I've got. It may have been a series of videos. I don't remember. That was here on the channel before I was doing this RPG stuff live, where I took a look at the Harnmaster box set. And Harnmaster, I think, has a really hardcore, realistic-looking knight on it. And I know that's what drew me to that game. So it could have been very much been the same way here. So I want to look at this game and see what we can derive from it that might be useful. First of all, how do you play the kind of standard stuff that we do? But then is there anything in here that could be useful that I should be thinking about before I go on and write the Rabavania World Primer? And I did outline that, and like I was talking about yesterday, for 10,000 words. That's the first starting point. And I'm wondering how I allocate all of those words. So I put that outline out, and then I allocated words to each topic. And it should be pretty fast to write because there are quite a few topics. I think, I don't want too many topics. You can't have too many topics. On the other hand, there are enough topics that each entry is max 500 words, like 100 to 500 words. So I think it actually should write pretty quickly. I'm going to work on that today for at least a little while. I was also working on the Rabavania beat sheet for the script as well. Okay, this is Pendragon, and I noticed that it's now published by Chaosium, but I didn't see the Chaosium logo on here. So it's possible that it's something that is now published by Chaosium, but wasn't published by Chaosium at this edition. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But has anyone played this one or read this one? Oh, hello, Retro Nerd Girl. Welcome. She says, you're right. The cover is captivating. Yeah, that's a old school King Arthur knight. I'm always interested in the lots of different depictions of King Arthur. I think I may have mentioned this before on some kind of stream, but I really like studying different depictions of King Arthur. John Steinbeck wrote The Acts of King Arthur and His Noble Knights, and that's like classic high medieval King Arthur that's not supposed to try to blend in with any type of historical period. It's just King Arthur in the high Middle Ages, and yeah, he's the King of England. And I love those stories. I need to read those again. The Merlin trilogy, but another version that I love is the Merlin trilogy. And this is by Mary Stewart. And man, this is good. This is told from the perspective of Merlin. And of course, this is a much more dark age type of Merlin. And it starts with Uther Pendragon. But then I also like the Warlord series by Bernard Cornwell. And each one of those does different things with King Arthur, but I think both of them are three of them are really good. So I like looking at different takes on King Arthur. So let's just see what kind of take this one is. So let's see if I can get to what's our standard procedure here. Let's look at the back cover, if there is one. Oh, see this. Yeah, this says Art House Games. So Chaosium must have bought it. Capture the spirit of Arthurian legend. Relive the grandeur and romance of the greatest of all legends, the story of King Arthur. Assume the role of a knight starting his career in the time of Uther Pendragon. Undertake quests and perilous adventures for your lord, for your lady love, for the church, or for your own glory. Win great renown with your laudable deeds and feats of arms, perhaps even winning the right to carve your name into the round table itself as the story of Arthur and Camelot unfolds around you. With its innovative rules, including distinctive traits and passion systems designed to help you determine your character's behavior under it's got any bold, under any circumstances. Determine your character's behavior under any circumstances. Pendragon provides the right role-playing experience that laid out against perhaps the richest tapestries in Western literature. This newly redesigned and reorganized edition marks the return of Greg Stafford as the designer of the original edition. Okay, then we do have this map back here, Pendragon Player's Map. Difficult to see right there, but that's cool. I've got, and I've got to hang this up, I've got a map that is England at the time of King Arthur. I've had it for a long time, but I need to have that mounted and hung up because it's really cool. Probably just the perfect thing for a game of Pendragon. Trey says, there is also a game called Lyonesse, fantasy role-playing based on the novels by Jack Vance that also came up when I was looking. Looks like it's based off Mithras, similar to the Call of Cthulhu rules. Oh, we do need to look at Call of Cthulhu. We still haven't done that. We'll probably do that when I get the box set over there, the starter set. Friday I've been trying to do unboxings, so we'll do an unboxing tomorrow. Maybe that or Alien. Might do Alien. But both of those, Call of Cthulhu and now coming up. We'll check out Lyonesse as well. So I was when I was looking at Rabavania, I was going back to the Game of Thrones RPG. It's not Game of Thrones. It's the Song of Ice and Fire RPG. So I was going kind of back to that and looking at some of the things that were in it. So probably this one's also going inspirational here. So let's take a look at a character sheet. So, okay, we're right here at a character sheet, aren't we? Knight's character sheet and woman's character sheet. Oh, okay. Let's look at Knight's character sheet. That'll be interesting to see the difference here. So what kind of stuff do we have on a Pendragon character sheet? Knights character sheet. Player, name, age, homeland, culture, lord, current class, current home, sun number, religion, personality traits, chivalry bonus, total equals 80 plus. Let's see. So chivalry bonus, religious bonuses, underlying traits, all 16 plus. So what are our religious bonuses? Chaste. I see. We got. Religious bonus: chaste, energetic, forgiving, generous, honest, just, merciful, modest, pious, prudent, temperate, trusting, valorous, cowardly, suspicious, indulgent, reckless, worldly, proud, cruel, arbitrary, deceitful, selfish, vengeful, lazy, and lustful. Okay. So okay, I got you. Those aren't all virtues. Pious versus worldly, prudent versus reckless, valorous versus cowardly, chaste versus lustful. So that's not the 7 deadly sins. There are also the 7 knightly virtues. We got more here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we got only 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 of them that are starred. Directed trait, passions. Lord, love, hospitality, and honor. Equipment carried. Oh, Trey says, if I remember, you balance the personality traits during the game. Trying to get someplace in the middle. So if you gain points in, so just in general, if you gain points in lust, you lose points in chaste. Passions, equipment carried, armor type. I'm sure armor is important, being knights. Clothing, personal gear, on horse, travel gear, war gear, and where the horse, some stuff that's on the horse. Our statistics are size, dexterity, strength, constitution, AP, maybe that's appearance. We've got damage, healing rate, movement rate, total hit points, unconscious, distinctive features. Now we do have a skill list here. A place for your squire, name, age, first aid, battle, and horsemanship. Your squire rendering you first aid might be important. A place to draw your coat of arms. Glory, current hit points, churgery. I'm going to have that in Rabavania. I already had that down. The churgeons. I like that word. It's a good medieval word. Churgeons and churgery. Combat skills. Okay, so combat skills are different from just our regular skills. So our combat skills are battle, horsemanship, sword, lance, spear, and dagger. Jousting score. Horses, your best war horse and other horses. On the back, we've got annual glory rewards for trait, chivalry, holdings, passion, and religion. Holdings, equipment at home. Army. Is that your army? I guess it is. Army. How many old knights, middle-aged knights, young knights, total family knights, vassal knights, other lineage men, and levy. Character history. Well, that's interesting. So I guess that's a character history. I wonder if that's, I guess things that happened in your background, but also probably significant things that happened to you as you're adventuring, right? Gravendal Games says, I could use a squire in my life. Well, hopefully not only for more things than just to issue first aid, right? We're just talking about. I need one around here. I just need, I need, what I need here in this house more than anything is an invisible servant, or the unseen servants. I wish I could cast unseen servant and get this place who would just walk around you while I'm sitting here working, pick up the place, keep things in order. I need an unseen servant. And then family history and events. Year born, knighted, squired, member of the Round Table, ennobled, landed, wed, died. Father's name, class, glory to sons, family characteristics, wife, lover. Oh, two separate things here. Wife, lover, children, will. And I guess that's will as in, what's executed when you die here. Now we have a completely different character sheet for the women here. First of all, they have a lozenge over here instead of the heater shape for the coat of arms. Looks largely the same over here, though. Oh, we have servant here instead of squire. So we have a general servant over here. Glory, hit points. We've got battle horsemanship and dagger. But we've got spaces for other combat skills to put down here. Woman's gift. We'll see what that is. Now, although here's a heater on the back here. Annual glory holdings. So it doesn't look too different. I was wondering if it was going to say husband back here, but it says wife back here again. Wife, lover, children, will. All right, so that's kind of an overview at our of our character sheet here. So let's see what this is supposed to be doing here. We'll look at the table of contents in just a second. We kind of got it in the back, but let's see. Well, which Arthur is this? Okay, so there's I don't see like here's about this book. Okay, we're into how to play. Okay, so let's go up and take a look at the table of contents. So we're going to have introduction in here, and then chapter 1, the Pendragon realm. Chapter 2, character generation. Chapter 3, family and fatherland. Chapter 4, stats and skills. Chapter 5, game mechanics. Chapter 6, combat. Chapter 7, ambition and faith, including a section on magic. Chapter 8, matters of wealth. Appendix 1, in the future. Chivalry, customs, organizations, and knightly equipment. Appendix 2, characters and creatures. 3, scenarios. 4, battle. So that's the battle system, it says, and enemy battle tables. And Appendix 5, tournaments. There's a lot of interesting things to read in here. Okay, but let's go to that introduction, because I think that starts to get into how do we actually play here. So which Arthur is this? I'm interested in this. Many versions of King Arthur exist. Stories have been told and retold about him for 1,400 years, changing a little to a lot to suit the audience. The Pendragon game uses parts from all literary versions. However, in this introductory book, some versions are emphasized over others. Supplements to Pendragon reveal other aspects of the legend. So, English, personal heroism. Okay, so it uses parts from all of the literary versions. So this is kind of mashing things together. However, this introductory book, some versions are emphasized over others. So English, personal heroism, chivalric honor, and a refreshing simplicity mark the English tales. In them, King Arthur is a vigorous, wise, and benevolent monarch. Sir Gawain is by far the favorite English knight. Among the best-known stories, this classification includes Sir Gawain the Green Knight, Sir Gawain and the Dame Ragnall, Mallory's Morte d'Arthur. The first modern English interpretation of the French and English sources serves the basis for this game. French. King Arthur is often portrayed as inefficient and uninspiring, and Sir Lancelot is by far the most highly favored knight. The Chronicles, modern tales. King Arthur is wise beyond his era, foreshadowing democratic and other common institutions. He's vaguely aware of being a tool of some greater fate, and courageously but vainly struggles against certain doom. In this, T.H. White's Once and Future King, it's been a long time since I've read a Once and Future King, is closest to the spirit of the Pendragon game. Howard Pyle's Arthurian compilation exhibits a similar sanitized American idealism. Hal Foster's Prince Valiant. I used to watch the Prince Valiant cartoon. Does anybody remember the Prince Valiant cartoon? I only recently rediscovered it, and I haven't watched all of it, but I rewatched several months ago a lot of the Prince Valiant cartoon, and that was beyond its time. That was really good. I was really enjoying it. So Hal Foster's Prince Valiant comic strip provides a similar background to the Chronicles and to Pendragon. The idealism and enlightenment of King Arthur and Pendragon comes from such stories. I never got into the Prince Valiant comic strip because it seemed like it was too much to try to get into. And there was such little in any particular newspaper. And of course, I didn't have access to a whole bunch of them. So I don't know about the comic strip, but the cartoon was really good. Yeah, Mike says only the one in the paper. Yeah, now I think this was based on the one in the paper. But man, I think that's another hidden gem. That was a hidden gem of a cartoon. I tried to get my nephews interested in it, but I don't think it took. But it was really good. Welsh, primitive and wild, the Welsh tales go hand in hand with the supernatural and the fantastic. Arthur is a vigorous warrior, more a chieftain than a king or emperor. The best-known Welsh Arthurian story is Culhwch and Olwen, found in the Mabinogion. The wonder and fantasy of this Arthurian tradition is at the root of the advanced character generation system and the magic system in the book. Okay, so The Wicked Day. I also loved that story. Some stories, mostly modern, provide novel interpretations of people and events in Arthurian legends. They tend to psychologize the heroes. Favorite characters in the apocryphal tales are often the antagonists from medieval stories. They often include a confused yet not evil Sir Mordred in Stewart's That Wicked Day. That's the fourth book that Mary Stuart wrote in the Merlin trilogy that I was just looking at right here. There's a fourth book in this, except for it's not told from Merlin's standpoint. The fourth book is told from Mordred's standpoint. And I thought that was really cool. And that one's called The Wicked Day. I don't know where that book is, but it was really good. Those four books are great King Arthur. A justifiably short-tempered Sir Kay and Phyllis in Anne Carr's The Ides of the Queen, and Marion Zimmer's Bradley's amoral Morgan Le Fay in The Mists of Avalon. The Mists of Avalon. That's the one that tells the story from the women's perspective. And I believe that's the one I need to read that one. Megan and Carol are big into that one. Andrew says, Ralph Bakshi worked on an old cartoon, Rocket Robin Hood, that was Robin Hood in space. I've never heard of that. They reused the backgrounds in the 60s Spider-Man he worked on. Ha! I've never seen Robin Hood being taken to space. So we are doing a much earlier period Arthur here. So the King Arthur marries Guinevere and institutes the Brotherhood of the Round Table in 514. All right. So let's see. How do we actually play? Dice rolling conventions.
Let me know if I can help.
Rolls and checks. During the game, your character will be tested in certain ways, such as in personal combat. Rather than merely saying, I win or I succeed, the game master sometimes requires you to make a D20 roll against an appropriate statistics. Oh, so we're rolling D20 here. I wasn't going to anticipate that. I thought this might be some other something else than a D20 roll. I was thinking it felt like a game that might do D100 or percentages. You make a D20 roll against an appropriate statistic. For example, in combat, you would roll versus a combat skill. The random result is compared with the value of the dictating statistic to determine whether you succeed or fail. Are you rolling over? Are you rolling under? Or there's bonuses? Doesn't say yet. Mind your C's and K's. We're going C is always hard here. Maybe we don't have a unified action resolution mechanic in this one. That's why it might be hard to find. Famous people, regions of Britain. We've got the two types of rival Christianity are practiced in Britain at the time. British Christianity is native to the island, established by immigrants 4 centuries ago. It has bishops and abbots, but no single figure rules over them all. The local kings or noblemen appoint these important leaders, who in turn are loyal to their regional lords. The Roman Church is part of the hierarchy that takes its orders from Rome, so the Pope determines its bishops. The Roman Christian Church in Logres has one supreme churchman, the Archbishop of Carleon, a Kimric Dupercus by name, and there are also dozens or so abbots of the great houses. Churchmen are not considered noble unless they are also landlords, which is not uncommon. Most noble families have made grants to the churches or abbeys, which in turn supplies knights to the usual feudal manor. But that most of Britain is still pagan. I always like having King Arthur work with both of those, having to work within both straddle the line of both Christianity and paganism. And that's something that Bernard Cornwell did in the Warlord trilogy very well. That comes up there a lot. Trey says, you may have to look at difficulty or target numbers to know over or under. Probably. I noticed there's a place on skills, so I guess we will get to that. And so just combat was its own thing as well. Merlin is a druid here. And another magical organization exists whose members are not druids, but who are yet priestesses and advisors. These generally lead local covens and perform farming and fertility rites. Like druids, they are not a single organization, but acknowledge others through recognition of power. Nimue and her organizations of the Ladies of the Lake is highly respected, if only at arm's length. All right, what about, we've got becoming a knight, so I guess knights are going to be important here. Pages, squires, knights. Ranks of knighthood. Not all knights share certain duties and traits. However, not all knights are equal in rank, and there exist several grades of knighthood. A difference between these is determined primarily by the source of income for the knight. Note that the descriptive term can precede or follow the word knight. So knight bachelor and bachelor knight are acceptable. This is a vestigial remnant of the French influence on Germanic English. So these are different ranks or grades your character can obtain in different ways. Knight mercenary. Knights without a lord are the lowest class of knights. They are called mercenary because they must seek to sustain themselves through their work for money. Since knights are fighting men, they generally make their living by seeking mercenary soldier employment and differ from ordinary mercenary cavalry, the sergeants. Only in that they have taken the oath of knighthood before a lord. Knight bachelor. Knight bachelors derive their income directly from a lord, either through direct maintenance or cash payments. The word bachelor derives from bas chevalier, or chevalier, or low knight. It has come to be associated with unmarried men because bachelor knights were generally not rich enough to support a wife. Knight bachelors are also called household knights because they live in their lord's household, not on their own land. They are his bodyguard and his standing army. They travel wherever the lord takes them. Their loyalty is crucial to the lord's success, perhaps even to his survival, so they are usually treated well and receive great honor. A knight may bear a penonsole, a small pennant, upon his lance to distinguish his rank from a mercenary knight and commoners who wear no decoration. I like having different phases of the knight's life. That's going to be important in Rabithania as well. Vassal knight, a knight who owns their land. A knight who own their own land are knight vassals. They have their own manor and lands and are thus substantial landlords capable of equipping themselves for war. Knight vassals generally live at their own home, but are obliged to serve for 40 days per year at war, plus a customary extension of 20 more if the lord demands it. They must also serve 3 months of castle garrison duty and appear in court to offer advice when the lord demands it. A knight vassal may bear a pennant on his lance. Knight lord. Knights are sometimes lords over other knights, and thus are called knight lords. Knight lords are the upper noblemen, the lords of the land. In this book, a lord means any knight who has taken on another knight as followers. The lowest grade of lord is a banneret knight. The highest is the high king. All right. I like different types of knights. Coats of arms, feudalism, oaths. It does take a bit to get into how to play. So let's go. We're customs and laws. We're about to get to creating a character, but we're going to skip creating a character. We'll probably need to go to stats and skills. So this is character generation, but by tradition, we skip this. Even though it might tell us a lot about the character sheets. I'm sure it will. But let's go down. Let's go to so the next one is family tree, family and fatherland. Let's go down to stats and skills. We might have to go to the character generation in order to understand how to play here. So we've got using traits and passions. Traits and passions, is that the first real thing? Authenticity. Let's see. Traits and passions are important in gameplay, being the primary component of a character's reputation along with glory, which is the general indicator of success in the game. Traits and passions measure such things as honor or trustworthiness, while glory measures raw prestige and power. The two systems are inextricably linked, though for traits and passions, you may gain glory. Trey also says social combat and court politics are a big part of this game, if I remember correctly. Oh, well, that would be nice, too. I wonder where that would be. Hey, actually, here is game mechanics. Chapter 5 is game mechanics. Let's take a look at that. So that's probably more than stats and skills. Some extraordinary characters may have a trait valued at 20, 25, or perhaps more. Oh, so this is what you were talking about, Trey. The total value of each trait pair must always equal 20 when the game begins, and in most cases, this will never change. When one trait increases, the opposite decreases the same amount. Normally, no trait may ever be higher than 19 or lower than 1. So you're balancing those pairs on 20. Oh, because when the opportunity arises to have your character behave one way or another, traits can be used as casual guidelines, or a roll against the appropriate trait may be imposed by the game master. Most of the time, you simply state what you want to do. As I was looking over here, so interpreting trait rolls. Each trait, so that's why it's based on 20, because you're rolling a 20-sided die. The binary traits of Pendragon define the chances of either. There is critical success. A critical success on a trait roll indicates the character must act in the manner described by the trait. The action does not need to be outrageous or extreme, but ought to be apparent enough to be noticed enough by others and make the character feel that he has revealed strong emotions or perhaps even compromised his belief in integrity in some way. For example, Sir Bors de Blanc, a religious knight renowned for his purity, he has a chaste trait of 19, encounters a beautiful young maiden in a forest clearing while traveling alone. The game master asks Sir Bor's player to make a roll against his lustful trait of 1, given the unusual situation. As luck would have it, the player rolls a 1 and gets a critical success. Certainly Sir Boris does not rape the girl, though. The player declares that, in keeping with his character's almost angelic view of chastity, he gently touches the maiden's fair cheek, causing her to blush. This alone is enough for the knight to feel embarrassed and ashamed for perverting his ideals. Okay. Good morning, Ryan. Good morning. Good to see you. All right, let's go down to game mechanics. And then after that is combat. So let's just go to that. So to determine unopposed resolution, to determine success or failure, roll 1d20 and compare the result of that character's statistic value. So, I mean, here it is. If the die roll is equal to or less than the number indicated, the character succeeded at what he was trying to do. So you're trying to roll low here. So I suppose all of your characteristics, stat values are going to be going up, and you're trying to roll low. So equal to or less than the number. Modifiers may apply. For instance, the game master calls for Sir Umbrant traveling through the forest to make an awareness roll of d20 because there are bandits above him. The player rolls a 7, which is higher than Ambrut's awareness value of 5, so the check fails. An instant later, and without warning, a robber swings down from the vine and attacks. So opposed rolls are made against the character's own statistic and versus the opponent's rolled number. Simple success may not be enough to defeat an opponent. To win, the player must succeed his own roll, yet also roll a number higher than his opponent's player, usually the game master. As with unopposed rolls, modifiers may adjust up or down. In opposed roll, a failure is always treated as if the player had rolled a 0, regardless of the actual number on the die. It says that to win, the player must succeed at his own roll, and yet also roll a number higher than the opponent player. So got to roll under your roll, but also higher than the opponent also rolls his. I need an example of this because the opponent's also rolling against a number, right? Let me see an example here. Example of opposed resolution. After an initial unopposed surprised attack, Sir Ambrant draws his sword, now aware of the bandit. The robber has a sword skill of 12 and Ambrut 15. In the first melee round, the robber rolls a 13 and fails. Okay, because 13 is higher than 12. Rolls a 13 and fails, but Ambrut rolls a 1, a success. Further, Ambrut's result is higher than the robber's roll. Oh, okay, so his roll is higher than the robber's roll, since a failure in an opposed roll is always considered a 0. Oh, so that's what this was up here. In opposed rolls, a failure is always treated as if the player had rolled a 0, regardless of the actual number on the die. So that's what's happening right there. In the next round, so he inflicts damage on the robber. So I guess that's combat too. So maybe this does have a bit more of a unified resolution than I was thinking in the beginning. It just took a little while to get to it. So even that's combat. So we've got unopposed resolution, but then opposed resolution, and this is combat as well. So in the next round, Ambrut rolls a 12, the robber an 11. Both succeed against their own skill attack roll this time, but Ambrut still wins the contest since his roll is higher. So that was the robber skill of 12. So yeah, so the robber rolled an 11, 1, 13 versus 12. Ambrut also passed. The robber passed. Ambrut passed, but Ambrut's skill is roll was higher. The robber, although he's the loser this round, still succeeded, so he achieves a partial success. If he bore a shield, which he doesn't, unfortunate for him, he could apply its damage reduction value to its armor when calculating the damage from Ambrut's attack. See Armor and Shields in Chapter 6. We do have critical success and fumbles, I noticed here. Fumble, a critical failure. A fumble occurs whenever a character receives a roll of 20, unless his modified statistic is valued at 20 or more. A fumble is a disastrous stroke of bad luck resulting in such things as dropping or breaking your weapon during combat or coughing or cursing in the midst of a romantic ballad. Okay. Fumbles can occur frequently in Pendragon. This provides many opportunities for storytelling to the game master. In many cases, a fumble lets the game master balance a situation that has gotten out of hand, feed the players false information, or simply inject some humor or excitement into the story. Examples of a critical failure or fumble. A young Sir Ambrant is out hunting deer and fumbles his hunting skill. He loses his tracks and now he has been following, and without realizing it, he begins to follow a spoor of a lion that recently has crossed the deer's trail. Trey says, so this would be a game you could use the Codex Martialis. Yes, that's a good point. So yes, it does seem that way. Since we're rolling D20s here, it does seem like, at least on the surface of this, that you could bring in parts of the Codex into this. That's interesting. It seems particularly suitable, actually. All right, time. Oh, glory. The object. Oh, so this is important too. I wouldn't know the object of the game if I didn't just accidentally stumble by this. So the object of Pendragon is for your character to accumulate glory. Knights receive glory for doing things that knights do, whether those are behaviors according to ancient warrior virtues or the late medieval ideals of chivalry and fine amour. So glory is the chief reward of the game, always given to the player by the game masters. Players are free to ask for glory anytime during the game, but the game master has the final say regarding who wins glory. Glory measures the character's fame, success, confidence, importance, influence, and status. Who can gain glory? What does it do for you? Okay, so glory values. Once a character begins to accumulate glory, it is inevitable that the player will want to know how his character stands relative to other famous knights in the realm. A chart below answers this question in general terms and defines the range of glory for all players and game master characters. 1 to 999 is non-knights, serfs, merchants, squires, damsels, etc. 1,000 to 199 is average knight. You got to hit 2,000 to be a notable knight, 4,000 to be a famous knight, and 8,000 to be an extraordinary knight. Every active and successful knight errant collects only about 100 to 200 glory per adventure, and perhaps another 100 at the end of a year for maintaining his ideals and pursuing his passions. Oh, so you got to do a lot of adventuring. Glory awards. Yeah, most heroic acts or important events should earn 100 points of glory. By this definition, a heroic event is an order of magnitude more significant than an ordinary event. Keep in mind that even 100 points is still a substantial amount for a single action or event. Still, some heroic events may be worth 250 or 500. Behaving in accordance with all religious virtues for 1 year. Being the grand champion in a medium or large tournament. Being the champion in a small tournament. Fighting successfully. Yeah, we may need some type of renown mechanic in Rabavania. So glory are levels. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about experience points yet, have we? So it could be that it's glory that we're working with. Sounds, Mike says, sounds like a lot of timekeeping as well. Yeah, and we just scrolled past an area where it said, it was talking about campaign time and tracking time. So it could be. Bonus glory, group glory awards, comparing glory. Individual combat. Knights are warriors first and foremost. Hooray! And their fame is increased most significantly in combat, whether against bandits, monsters, soldiers, or other worthy knights. The basic rationale is simple. The more fearsome an opponent a foe gets, the greater the glory. If the loser has... Now, see, I also like this... some kind of glory or renown mechanic may have to happen in Rabavania, because it is also not a game about accumulating gold and physical stuff. That's part of what it means to be a knight, is that you're basically taken care of, especially once you become landed. I've incorporated some elements of kind of a Spartan kind of philosophy. The knights are not supposed to be engaged in commerce. There may be ways that a knight can become wealthy, but the knight has to become wealthy through doing things that a knight is supposed to do, not through like commerce. Through things like taking opponents hostage and then ransoming them back and things like that. So a knight might become wealthy, but what does a knight really need? Once you've got in Rabavania your fox, your armor, your sword, your helmet, and your lance, what else do you need? That's supposed to be it, right? And then you are free to go and do things that bring you glory and also defend the kingdom. So how do we do this? If the loser has an unusual advantage in the combat, such as a large damage value or a magic shield or inspirational from passion, the more glory for the winner is appropriate, since the risk was greater. So they're not going by experience points here. But it should also get you more glory if you defeat somebody with a bunch of glory, right? Mortal combat with another knight is the supreme challenge, and great glory may be thereby accrue. However, combat between knights and Pendragon is often initiated for love of fighting. Such combat is normally performed with one or more customary restrictions that reduce the chance of maiming or fatal injury. Combat is resolved by some minor event, such as knockdown, rather than by surrender or death of the loser. Consider defeat to mean surrendered, captured, incapacitated, or killed. So, young Sir Ambrant, just with a knight, he meets at a river ford. Ambrant is a new knight on his first year's adventuring with only 1,100 glory to his name. Ambrant loses the joust, so the other knight gains the usual 50 glory for defeating an average knight. However, because the joust was for love, the knight receives only 1/10 of 50, so 5 glory. Marriage grants you glory. Well, it seems like he didn't. I would have thought so too, but it seems like you only gain. So even though Ambrant here lost, he does not gain any glory, but the other knight gains glory. So maybe it's like, well, it seems like you should be able to lose them, but maybe that makes an even more experience point like, and that it's just going up. Mike says, riches might be lands and or keep bestowed upon you from the High King. Right, yeah. Riches are involved in land, right, yeah. So your higher ranking lords are going to have castles and land, which also gives them responsibility, though. I guess adventurers in D&D like gold because it gets you all the wealth but no responsibility. But in Rabavania, if you become landed like that, then yes, you become wealthy in the wealth of the time, but also you have responsibility. Losing face was a big part of cult culture. Was a big part of court culture. Yeah, so social combat does seem like it would be especially appropriate in here. Yeah, losing. I thought so. So battles provide glory. Tournaments. Castle holdings. Well, yeah, here's the ways to get bonus points. Okay, so what does that do for you? Maybe hear this. So skill modifier. Glory indicates status and importance, not just notoriety. In formal situations where characters interact, such as the courts of nobles, greater status may be enhanced the character's capabilities to influence and impress others. Evil knights with no honor, even if they're very powerful and influential, won't be usually invited to court. Only non-combat skills such as flirting, singing, or oratory can be enhanced by glory in this way. The rationale is that characters who are of great glory are much more likely to receive attention and praise and less likely to be judged harshly if their performance is mediocre. So you may gain a modifier of up to +1 per 1,000 points of glory to the skill being used. Thus, a character with 2,800 glory could gain a maximum modifier of +8 to a courtly skill in this way. Bonus points. Winter phase. Yeah, so there was something about the winter phase. We're just talking about the tracking time. So we got the winter phase here too. Experience rolls. Okay, so here's an experience roll. Characters spend some of the winter reflecting back on the year which has come by. The process is simulated using the experience roll. Throughout the gameplay during the summer season, potential improvements are recorded as an increase in the checked skill, passion. The experience roll process is the same whether you seek to increase a skill, passion, or trait, and attributes cannot be increased this way. Roll d20 once for each experience check you have on your character sheet. If the number rolled is greater than the current value, then the character learned from the experience and adds +1 to the value. Oh, so this is like the Call of Cthulhu advancement. I do like this system. Of course, it uses Call of Cthulhu, the percentile, right? But okay, so during your adventuring, so you don't necessarily level up in the adventure. You level up when you come back and reflect on it as far as leveling up goes, as far as the stat level goes. When you come back, and then you get to roll and see if the value is, and see if you actually increase. Thus, a character with a, okay, so this process is repeated for every check on your sheet, and each skill gets only 1 check per year. Each skill gets only 1 check per year, but any number of skills may be checked. The number of successes achieved during play is not relevant. The only 1 check can appear in any box. If your primary squire has any checks, you may roll for each of his skills normally as well. Aging. So yes, lots of time tracking on a large scale too. Marriage. There is a lot of great stuff in here. How much time have we got? I started a bit late. Let's do look at combat because it seems like knights should be involved in combat. Oh, another game that's similar, Era, etc., that might be interesting to look at is Ars Magica. Is that the one that doesn't have any dice? Is that the one that's completely not random? I forget if I looked at that one or not. I looked at one game that had no dice and no randomness. It could have been that one. But we do need to look at that one on the Morning Grind because I hear about Ars Magica a lot. Okay, so combat. We kind of figured out that fighting, occurs is one of these opposed checks. Generally, you may either fight or move, but not both. Lance charges are an exception to this rule. Knights must move both and fight during that phase. Okay. If combat occurs, both combatants roll their respective modified weapon skills using opposed resolution, which we saw. The results leave a winner and a loser, a tie, or 2 losers. So this is interesting that we're not, this person is attacking. And this person is defending. So it's like active defense, except for it's both active attack. So we're just seeing who is the winner and who's the loser. We're not saying this person attacks and then this person attacks. This is just the combat round, and we're seeing who actually came out on top on that combat round. Oh, Ars Magica has dice. Okay, so that's not the one that I was thinking of. Okay, but Ars Magica keeps coming up, so I'll put Ars Magica on the list. We'll also take a look at the one that doesn't use dice, whatever its name was, or any type of random element. Okay, if one character succeeds and the other fails, proceed to the winner's phase. If both fighters fail their weapon rolls, then both miss that round. The fight is inconclusive this round and no damage is dealt by either side. They can try again next round. If both fighters roll the same number and both successful, a tie occurs. This is essentially the same as if both had failed, but one combatant's weapon is a sword and the other is not. The weapon breaks the other weapon. The sword breaks the other's weapon. Oh. That shouldn't happen all that often. They got to roll the same number, and they both got to be successful. A fumble means the other two things. Either that the fumbling, so that does mean that swords are particularly important for another reason, because the sword will break the other weapon in the event of a tie like that. A fumble means one of two things. Either the fumbling fighter has dropped his weapon if it was a sword, or that his weapon broke if it's another type of weapon. Another advantage to swords. Must rearm. A critical success on a weapon roll means the player who rolled the critical deals double damage for his weapon during the winner's phase. A natural roll of 1 on d20 before any modifiers is important if the character is using a flail or war flail. Winner's phase. If the winner achieved a notable success, a critical, for example, or a success against a noteworthy opponent that moves the story forward significantly, he may also, with the Game Master approval, receive an experience check for the weapon used. A critical success deals double damage. Well, how do we deal damage? Okay, we got damage statistic down here. But what's the loser's phase? The loser checks for special results and takes damage. Oh, so now they take damage. So, the winner gets to see if he's got some experience because of that. But the loser checks for special results and takes damage. The loser should check immediately based on the damage his opponent rolled in the previous phase. Wait, did he roll damage? Oh, yeah. Okay, so then, excuse me. In the winner phase, he does roll his damage against the loser. The loser checks for special results and takes the damage. Based on the damage his opponent rolled in the previous phase, check for knockdown. Next, if the loser is using a shield and makes a successful weapon roll, he adds his shield's armor reduction to his armor reduction's value for that round. He now takes damage, subtracting any protection gained from armor and shield. Any damage beyond that is recorded under wounds. That's the actual damage taken. Compare the actual damage to the character's major wound statistic to determine whether he suffers any grievous effects from his injury, from his enemy's blow. I like that. I was working with something like that a couple of years ago, with knowing, based on your character's physical condition, is this a minor wound, a trivial wound, a major wound, a moderate wound, a massive wound? And I still like that, but I think that kind of thing can be rolled into the like consequences due to combat kind of thing. Movement. So the damage statistic on your character sheet tells you how much harm your character does when he wins an opposed roll in combat. Damage is equal to size plus strength divided by 6. The result is the number of d6 rolled for damage. Oh, that's interesting. So size plus strength divided by 6 gives you the result, gives you a number of d6 you need to roll for damage. And that can be modified by some weapons. But I got to go to another chapter to figure that out. So being knocked down seemed important. When a character takes a blow, whether from a weapon in combat or some other source, compare it to his size value. If the damage received is equal to or greater than the size value, but less than twice that value, the character has received a blow that sends him reeling for balance. He must now make a dex roll if he's on foot, or horsemanship if mounted. If the roll is successful, the character recovers handily and continues fighting as normal. If it fails, the knight falls down. If he was mounted, he takes 1d6 damage from the fall. If he was on a wall or some other high place and fumbles the dex roll, he plummets over the edge, taking falling damage as appropriate. When a character receives damage equal to twice his value of his size or more, he is knocked down automatically. When knocked down, an armored knight may struggle back to his feet during the movement phase next round. If the character is attacked before getting up, then you get a +5 or -5 for being prone. Armor and shields protect characters from combat damage, but not from most other kinds of damage, such as that incurred by falling. Sir Ambrit is hit for 17 points while wearing reinforced chainmail, 12 points of reduction. He succeeds his horsemanship roll to avoid being knocked off his horse. Now, after subtracting the reduction, he takes 5 points of wounds this round. So here is our armor table. Hey, 5-Starman7, good to see you. He says, hi from England. Hope you're all safe and well. Hope you are too. I'm doing pretty well. Mike says, but would a knight lose status for attacking a fallen foe? See, that's what I was wondering. It seems like, at least it's sometimes in some codes of chivalry and in some tournaments and things like that, especially in tourney fighting or something like that, continuing to fight while the guy's knocked down would not be good. We didn't see anything about losing glory or something like that. But it seems like that would be something to me, I think. I'm with you there, Mike. So armor reduction, dex modifier, and whether or not it's a heavy load. So we've got clothing, heavy clothing, padded armor, leather armor, hard leather, chainmail, and reinforced chainmail. So these are not knights because of the era of the time. Remember, this is only 500 AD. So we're not wearing full plate mail or anything like that. Looks like our mail. I don't like saying chainmail. I just like saying mail. So mail is our highest level of armor here. Shields may be used in conjunction with the two-handed weapon, or excuse me, the one-handed weapon. And shields can help you reduce damage as well. Well, I think this is, so we've got, other chapters here. There's still more in combat here. Grappling, evasion, mounted combat, lance charges. Let's look at that just a moment. A lance charge is the only attack that must be made while moving. The horse must move at least 6 yards in a rough straight line to build up enough speed for a lance charge, although the game master should not insist each yard's movement be charted before combat takes place. So if a lance charge is made against anything other than a character wielding a great spear or another character with a lance charge, the charging knight gets a +5 modifier to his lance skill. Because of the horse's weight and momentum behind the attack, the damage from the lance uses the horse's damage statistic rather than the rider's, as shown below. Charger 6d6, courser 5d6, and rouncy 4d6. A lance charge can thus be particularly devastating against components using ordinary melee weapons. A lance also breaks more easily than some weapons. If the total dealt by the lance is an odd number, then the lance breaks. Also, a fumble indicates the lance broke before doing any damage. It broke before doing any damage? Okay. Okay, so there wasn't all that much to jousting. Hit points. Regaining hit points. First aid skill lets the injured character regain hit points immediately and ensures that bleeding is stopped, infection prevented, and so forth. Your squire had first aid. But let's see. Chapter 7 is ambitions and faith. Chapter 8 is matters of wealth. Into the future. Maybe this is some... isn't romance silly? We'll have to look at that later. Characters and creatures. Scenarios. Battle. So this is for large bodies of men meet to kill each other as part of a knight's life, a major part of a knight's life, the battle system. And then tournaments. So maybe there are some rules in here about, well, if you don't fight people when they've fallen over. The joust specifically, the melee, and suggested readings. Well, I'm glad I took a look at this. I've got to, I want to look at that some more. It seems like that one and the Song of Ice and Fire are good ones for inspiration for the Tales of Rabavania. All right. Well, I'm going to run. No live stream tonight, but I will be posting in the Discord some, and I want to create some of the, I've been meaning to create discussion boards in Discord, because I'd like to be able to have Discord discussion boards so that we can actually have longer form discussion. So I'm going to be sitting here. I'm going to see how much work I can possibly get done over the next, what are we looking at? Like 9 hours here. I do have make sure I want to go for a walk or a hike, but I'm going to be right here at my computer trying to do as much work as I possibly can. I'm going to wrap up from here. Hope it was good. Enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching on the replay. If you're watching due to replay, I will see you around. Have a good day.